Patriots fans, it's almost game day. Your New England Patriots host the Detroit Lions on Sunday at Gillette Stadium. It's throwback weekend, and stay tuned. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxboro faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a day part of your New England Patriots coverage and also your first listen every day. Remember that Locked On Patriots is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so smash that subscribe button, download, subscribe, follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your audio podcasts. And of course, folks, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Pats fans, the time for the talk is just about over, and your New England Patriots are about to host the Detroit Lions on Throwback Weekend in Foxboro at Gillette Stadium. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. You can always drop a line to me. Let me know what's on your mind, your thoughts on the pod at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to the Twitterverse, please be sure to follow the Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. And I am extremely honored to welcome in my Patriots paisan, my good friend, columnist extraordinaire from PatsFans.com, one of the best in the business, folks. And I mean that personally as well as professionally. The great Steve Balestrieri joins me here today to break down all of the action from Gillette coming up. Welcome back to the pod, my friend.
Thanks for having me, as always, and thank you for all those wonderful comments, but I'm just trying to keep up with that dude from Sports Illustrated. I can't remember his name.
You wouldn't be the only one that's forgotten, my friend. If I don't put it on the bottom, I got news for you. I forget sometimes. All kidding aside, it is Throwback Weekend in New England. And Steve, getting a chance to be up at Gillette, watching Pat Patriot get painted at the halfway mark of the field, the midpoint, 50-yard line, however you want to refer to it, seeing a sea of red in Foxboro. The red throwbacks, the threads are coming out, the white helmets with the Pat Patriot. Before we get into the nuts and bolts in this, Bud, I know you are a historian above all else. What's it going to mean to you to see those old school uniforms hit the field on Sunday?
Oh, I was at the last game they wore them back in 2012 against the Jets. And, you know, I just wish they would go back to that full time. I really do. That, you know, that was, I thought, the best uniform in the National Football League, especially, you know, in the 80s when their away uniform was the white jersey with the red pants and the Pat the Patriot helmet. I thought that was the best looking uniform, in the league. And I've never changed my opinion of that. I wish they would go back to it full time, but it's going to be awesome to see that back again.
It will be. And for those of you that haven't seen it, definitely, folks, if this is your first time viewing the New England Patriots wearing these red threads, it's going to be a special time for a lot of nostalgia fans like Steve and myself. You mentioned the white on red, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I don't think that uniform gets enough love as being an away uniform. I know they're technically not home and away anymore. It's kind of the color schemes and whatever teams want to wear, they get a chance and a choice to do it. But that was usually the away gear. The white on white, believe it or not, away from Foxboro was a really clean, crisp look. You want to go back, folks, Google Raymond Claiborne, former New England Patriots cornerback, Patriots Hall of Famer, by the way, wearing that outfit. And boy, I'll tell you, it really has a clean look to it. But the red and the white, the Pat Patriot, all the nostalgia, all the feels this weekend. And Steve, we're not completely sure who's going to be calling signals in those uniforms. We've seen Tom Brady do it. We've seen Steve Grogan do it. We've seen even Drew Bledsoe don those uniforms on occasion. Doug Flutie tweeted out a picture earlier this week. But in true Patriots fashion, the quarterback that takes the snaps under center is still a matter of conjecture. Bailey Zappe looks like the logical choice. He's healthy. He had a good amount of snaps last week to prove that he's capable of doing this at a pro level. Mac Jones is still pushing the narrative that he would like to get out there on the field. And I'm not saying he's being unreasonable or anything like that. I think Mac wants to do everything he can to get back on the field. It's just the way he's built. But if you had to take a look at this game, take a guess, do you see any way that Mac is going to be able to suit up in this, or are we looking at the Zappe show on Sunday?
I think it's the Zappe show. I really do. When I think it was early this week when Mac was spotted in at the beginning of practice. He was still limping pretty good, so I can't imagine he can move very well yet. So I think he's probably a couple of weeks away. I think the Patriots are just playing a little, gamesmanship and some psyops on the opponents, trying to figure out who they're going to face. I think it's going to be Bailey Zappe.
Yeah, I don't see a way that Mac suits up in this one either. And look, folks, this may be a moot point. At the time that Steve and I are recording this, the final injury and practice participation report has yet to be published. New England Patriots may end up ruling out Mac Jones by the end of the day on Friday. So by the time you're listening to this, you might end up discovering that Mac Jones is not even going to suit up, that the Patriots have already ruled him out, or he may be at best a limited participant. Something to remember, folks. A lot of times when we record Locked On Patriots, news hasn't happened yet. Some confusion about yesterday and the crossover episode and talking about Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer was not placed on injured reserve until after 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. That show was already published, already in the can at that point, was published first thing in the morning on Thursday. So just a little something to keep in the back of your mind as you're watching these shows. But Steve, for the sake of argument, we will assume that Bailey Zappe is going to be the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Offensive strategy is something that has always been in question for this team since training camp, and whether it be play calling, whether it be not utilizing the proper weapons, whether it be neglecting certain guys on the field, there's always seemed to be some criticism surrounding it. If you're the Patriots offensive brain trust, how are you looking to attack this Lions defense, which I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, Steve, but it seems like the Patriots have a decent shot at moving the ball and getting the ball into the end zone on these guys.
Oh, yeah. Detroit has the number 1 offense and the number 32 defense. So, I was on a pod with 3 Lions guys last night, and, they all say the same thing. If they had any kind of defense whatsoever, they could easily be 3-1 or 4-0 because their offense is so good. But the fact remains that, defensively, they're just a mess right now. And I think that, if you're Bill Belichick looking at this game, what you want to do is limit the opportunities for that other team's offense, which has been outstanding this year. They scored 45 points without 2 of their best wide receivers last week. So, what you want to do is limit the amount of opportunities they get. And you do that by running the football, controlling the clock, controlling the tempo, and then, they're reacting to you, because what you don't want is to get into a shootout with this team.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. And I mentioned this a lot with Matt Deary yesterday, who hosts Locked On Lions, when we did our crossover episode yesterday. And to me, this is the matchup to watch. It's going to be the Patriots running backs against this Detroit defense that is porous. I mean, against the run, look at Rashad Penny of the Seattle Seahawks was able to rack up 151 yards, 2 touchdowns on 17 carries. That's a good amount of yardage to get if you're a single running back. And the Patriots have 2 capable running backs, in my opinion, and in yours as well, in Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, who can clearly move the football against these guys. They move the ball well against a better run defense of the Green Bay Packers in week 4. I look for that to continue in week 5. And if they can do that and keep the ball out of the hands of Jared Goff and that potentially explosive offense, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think that is a situation where the Patriots are in good shape when it comes to running the football. Obviously, Steve, it's not just about the run. It's also about the pass. We know Zappe's shortcomings as a rookie. There's always going to be questions about picking up the pressure or being able to, maintain his accuracy while throwing on the run. But the kid showed poise. He showed competitiveness last week. If for any reason Detroit's defense is able to stifle the Patriots' running game or they can't get on track, can this one be won through the air?
It can be. I think it would be much more difficult. I mean, for Zappe, because I think if Mac Jones was in there, I think the opportunities to win via the pass would be much improved. Zappe's, he's a rookie fourth round, third string quarterback, and he hasn't gotten the reps or the experience yet. But given Detroit's preponderance for having breakdowns in the secondary, sure, it could happen. But I think if the running game gets going, then play action passes come in because those linebackers will want to bite. And that way it's going to open up easier throws for Zappe to make. Although I do expect in obvious passing situations, I expect the Lions are going to blitz a lot because I know they've been blitzing about a third of the time so far this year because they've had trouble getting pressure on the quarterback. And now they're facing a rookie. So I would definitely expect that.
Makes you wonder if we're going to see a little more Marcus Cannon on the edge this weekend, or on the end, I should say,
hopefully,
of that offensive line. Marcus looked like he really provided some stability to that offensive line last week when he came in. Obviously, what he did, helping to spring, runs was huge, but I thought the pass protection that he provided was excellent as well. And it seems like Bailey was able to settle down a little bit and really play his game a little more when Marcus was there. So going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do offensively. A lot of people think that if they're going to win it, it's going to be on the offensive side of the ball. But the Patriots defense may not have it so easy on Sunday because, as Steve alluded to, this Lions offense can go off at a moment's notice. And we'll talk about the ability of Jared Goff to go off with some of the pass catchers and runners that he has around him when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues. But first, folks, here's a little sports analogy for you. When it comes to burglars, your home is like the end zone, and you need the absolute strongest defense that you can muster. This is why I use and trust Simply Safe Home Security. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back, so you always know your home is safe. I use Simply Safe, my family does, and we always rest easy knowing that they are protecting us. With the 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police and or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or you can't be reached. Our monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so you get the highest priority police dispatch. So customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/lockedonnfl. You can save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/lockedonnfl to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Patriots fans, the resident voice of reason here on Locked On Patriots, my good friend, my Patriots paisan of PatsFans.com, Steve Balestrieri joins me today. And Steve, in the previous segment, we talked about the offense a lot. Bailey Zappe's chances of being able to move the ball, the Patriots running game, how they're going to attack what has been a relatively porous Lions defense. But you and I both know that that's only half the battle. The Patriots need to stop the Lions offense in order to keep them off the field and keep points off the board. That hasn't been so easy to do with this Lions team because there are a lot of potential weapons that can make life difficulty for opposing defenses. Jared Goff is playing up to par. He's getting excellent, really just great, running from guys like DeAndre Swift, who unfortunately looks like it won't be suiting up for this game. Jamal Williams has taken over very well, and he's done a great job. Amon-Ra St. Brown, still, I think, the best name for a wide receiver in the league. Love that name, just love it. He's banged up a little bit, not sure if he's going to be able to go. But ultimately, we know from last week's output in Seattle, against Seattle, I should say, that the Lions can move the ball. They can get into the end zone. You're the Patriots defensive coordinator, my friend. What do you do to marginally disrupt what Detroit does well? And how do you keep them out of the end zone?
Well, I think first thing, you have to slow down the run and keep them out of, uh, third down and manageable, so obvious passing situations. And then, you have to bring pressure on Goff. Now, this year, Goff has done very well while under pressure. So that's something we're going to have to monitor. But I think that's the key in this one is you have to put them in obvious passing situations and get pressure on him, probably without resorting to blitzing. And that's, something that can be done. But, the Lions' offensive line is pretty good. They haven't given up a ton of sacks so far this year. So it's something we'll have to watch. But, when you're looking at the smaller picture, I think, the tight end, TJ Hawkinson last week had a huge game. That's been an area that the Patriots have struggled a little bit. We know Mark Andrews, kind of torched them pretty good against Baltimore. Last week, they gave up a 20-yard touchdown, to the Packers via the tight end, and they gave up one to Pat Freiermuth against the Steelers. So that's something we'll have to monitor because I think that's going to be a big key to the defense.
Such a great point, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. That's something I failed to mention yesterday when we spoke, to Matt Deary of Locked On Lions in terms of key matchups. It's how do you try to marginally disrupt T.J. Hawkinson? That's why, in my opinion, it goes back to the health of Kyle Duggar. He is such an important component in that secondary, especially in the safety position, to being able to defend tight ends, be physical. Not only that, but also have the speed to be able to hang with them. Kyle does that so well. And you look at the difficulty that they had, whether it be with Freiermuth, whether it be with Mark Andrews a couple of weeks ago against the Baltimore Ravens. Most of that damage was done when either Kyle Duggar was compromised or not in the game at all. So that's something to keep an eye on, folks. I know the Patriots are trying to make every effort to give Jabril Peppers a little bit more snaps in those areas. Adrian Phillips is much more suited to covering defensive backs coming out of the backfield. In my opinion, that's where he really earns his stripes. Adrian is an excellent defender, one of the best that the Patriots have on the roster in terms of being able to do it all. But when it comes to defending the tight end, Kyle Duggar is so vital, and that's why you need him in that lineup.
Yeah,
Steve,
and I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, it's okay.
Another, I think, key for the Patriots is having Jalen Mills back this week. You're facing a bunch of wide receivers who are really good. And if you have him back, if I am Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo, I want Jonathan and Jack Jones as well as Jalen Mills as my top three corners. I think that Miles Bryant's getting picked on. I think teams, it looks to me like whenever they need a big play, they're looking for 27 in a Patriots uniform, and that's who they're going to attack. So I think Jack Jones has shown enough, that he probably needs to be that third corner and not Miles Bryant. And that would all depend on having Jalen Mills available this week.
That is definitely a good point, without any question. And unfortunately, as we're recording this, Jalen was not available on the practice field on Friday. We're not sure what his status was when the report was released, folks. If you're viewing this or listening to this after Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, check out that injury report. You'll probably see Jalen Mills' status, whether or not he's listed as questionable or if he is indeed listed as out. If that is the case, then yeah, you're looking at a trio of Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones on the perimeter, and then probably Miles in the slot. We're not sure if Marcus Jones may get some snaps in there. We know that Marcus has basically relieved Miles now of both punt return and obviously kick return duty is his as well. So Marcus is coming up big as well, but does he get a chance to crack this secondary and show what he can do? You also got Shaun Wade on this roster as well. Shaun has been someone who's popped up a lot in the injury reports, been in and out, but you never know. Maybe he gets a little chance to do something this weekend against a potentially difficult Detroit Lions team to defend. one of the bread and butter of this team, Steve, meaning the Lions, is their ability to run the football. And I mentioned earlier that DeAndre Swift is highly unlikely to suit up in this game. If he is indeed out, and that's the way it's looking right now, Jamal Williams is still a very capable runner. He did a very good job last week against Seattle's defense, can pace the ball, and he can still give you a lot to be concerned about on the ground. Lawrence Guy has not practiced since last week. It is highly doubtful, if not almost certain, that he's not going to be in the lineup on Sunday. What does that do to weaken the Patriots' run defense that did not look so good against a two-headed monster of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones last week against the Green Bay Packers?
No, and that's I mean, that's how the Lions get everything going, is through that running game. And when Swift is in there, he's averaging 8 yards. I think it's 8.6 yards per carry, which is a ridiculous amount. And behind him, Jamal Williams is no slouch, so he's been running effectively as well. The Patriots front seven needs to play better this week. I know they re-signed Jamie Collins. I was talking with Mark Schofield earlier in the week, and I was wondering if Jamie Collins is going to play off the ball inside linebacker to help with that running game. I don't think it's been so much the edge where they've been losing containment. I think it's more, inside their front seven's getting pushed back a little bit. So I'd be curious to see if Jamie Collins is going to play. I do think he will, at least somewhat, and where he's going to play. And I think it might be off the ball inside.
Yeah, agreed. Because at that moment, it's the second level of the defense that has really had a difficult time against the run. I'll mea culpa. When I wrote my game recap following week 4, the first thing that I'm looking at is, well, the up front, the defensive line, the interior, really not doing a very good job of containing the run. And then I looked at it and I'm looking at it more, and I don't think it's necessarily a line thing. I think it was the help that they should be getting from that second level. One of the big reasons why you see Jamie Collins in a Patriots uniform. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets activated. I agree with you. I happen to think he will. I think it's going to be he and Garrett Gilbert that are activated for this week. Obviously, Bailey's going to need a backup. So, going to be fun times in New England without any question. And it's throwback weekend, so why not have Marcus Cannon come back? Why not have Jamie Collins back in the lineup? Get some of the old vintage Pats out there that were a part of the Glory Days roster and give them a little bit of that throwback boost that the Patriots do need coming into this one at 1-3, hoping to get to 2-3 and hoping to build on something. Steve, we are almost at the time where we're ready to take our listeners into kickoff, but not just yet, folks, because in just a moment, Steve Balestrieri is going to bring us home by bringing us his essentials to victory, and we'll talk a little bit about what that line looks like for the New England Patriots. And because we're talking about lines, folks, that means it's time for us to remind you of our good friends at BetOnline.net, which are your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. As always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check on all of your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, and golf, is by heading to betonline.net. So don't delay, do it today. Use your mobile device to learn more at betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Patriots fans, my good friend Steve Balestrieri of PatsFans.com has been getting us ready for a 1 p.m. kickoff at Gillette Stadium in Foxboro. New England Patriots hosting the Detroit Lions. Throwbacks abound on Sunday. Patriots making an appearance. So are the Red Threads. And we mentioned a couple of former Patriots that are now current Patriots once again that we believe we'll see on the field. But Steve, as we all know, it all comes down to the matchups and the essentials to victory. Our good friends over at betonline.net have the Patriots as a 3-point favorite heading into this game. And their experts essentially have let us know that if Mac Jones is indeed in the starting lineup, that line is likely to change a little bit in the Patriots' favor. But 3 points feels about right for what we've seen from this team, and the fact that the Detroit Lions can match the New England Patriots' fervor. on offense, or maybe even exceed it. But you see things us mere mortals don't see, my friend. So, in your opinion, looking into your Belichickian crystal ball, what are the essentials to victory for the New England Patriots on Sunday?
Essentials. That's a good word. I won't say keys.
I
But
believe a friend of ours has monopoly on the word keys.
yeah, especially during the game. Um, I think number one, and I alluded to this earlier, control the clock and time of possession. The Patriots running game, I think has to take over and dominate time of possession. They have to continue to keep moving the sticks, keep the Lions defense on the field and wearing down. And they have to finish drives and score. They can't be stalling, and having to punt or settling for 3 points here and there. They have to be, finishing off these drives. And the best way, as I said earlier, to slow down a high scoring offense is keep them on the sidelines. I think Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, they're going to have some opportunities for big days, each of them. And I think if they do that, they'll be successful. Now, the number two essential this week is discipline. I think it's paramount. And it's, the mental mistakes and, the miscommunication stuff that we've seen, blown assignments, that can't happen this week. No blown coverages, because that'll turn into 6 points. Don't overrun gaps on defense. And the penalties, especially those of the pre-snap variety, they have to stop this week. They have to have a very clean game, especially against a team that can score a lot of points and quickly. And the third, for me, the third essential is to win the turnover battle. They created a couple of turnovers last week. I thought that was good. They have to keep continuing to do that. I think if you can force a fumble, get an interception on Jared Goff, take some points off the board for them and give your offense, which has been struggling, a short field once or twice a game, it will do wonders for the scoreboard, in the long run.
Absolutely. Completely agreed. And when it comes to that, the self-inflicted wounds that the New England Patriots have had this year are adding up, and it is adding up on the scoreboard and in the win and loss column, because these things are deterring New England from being able to take control of the game. Every game they've been in, Steve, dare I say, has been winnable for the New England Patriots. I mean, I know a lot of people may point to the Ravens game and say that, but there were opportunities there where they had this team ready to go, and unfortunately, just untimely mistakes and just breakdowns in coverage. Like you said, blown coverages absolutely will turn into 6 points when it comes to this Detroit Lions team. So, folks, the resident voice of reason has spoken.
Yeah, I think you go back to that Ravens game, and hindsight, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, they had no shot at that." Well, with 5 minutes to go in the game, they had the ball with the opportunity to move ahead. So that was a lot closer than people have given credit for it. And I'm not saying even if they had gone down and scored a touchdown that they were going to win, because the Ravens were moving the ball. But, it puts a little bit of perspective on things. If you take the lead with less than 5 minutes to go, puts a little more pressure on that opposing team. So, I think every one of their games this year has been winnable.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. And look, who knows? Maybe it is the presence of Pat Patriot that gives New England a little more pep in their step on Sunday as they take the field against the Detroit Lions. Folks, 1 p.m. kickoff time at Gillette. If you are headed to the game, please do so safely. Please enjoy, and definitely take some pictures of Pat Patriot, because it's great to see him back in Foxboro. Steve, always an honor, always a privilege to share the microphone with you, my friend. Thank you for lending your wisdom and counsel the way only you can. Before I let you go, bud, please let everyone know where they can find you, interact with you, what we can look forward to in terms of your Patriots coverage in the week ahead.
Well, thanks for having me, as always. I love talking football with my paisan, so I miss doing it in person, but you can find me on Twitter @SteveB7SFG. Same with Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the other social media sites there at Steve Balestrieri. I write for PatsFans.com. We do 2 podcasts. I do one with Pats fans called Patriots 4th and 2. I do another with our friends Murph and Claire called One Patriot Place. And, I'm hoping to write this weekend about the Patriots righting the ship against the Detroit Lions. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, buddy. I'm drinking it. I think the running game is going to have a big day, and I'm predicting 2-point victory, 30-28.
Nice. Absolutely. I went with a 24-21 victory yesterday when Matt Deary and I talked. I'm standing by that, folks. Patriots right the ship, and we have another Victory Monday, hopefully, with our man Murph coming up this Monday. But, Steve, in the meantime, please continue. Stay safe, stay well, my friend. Glad to see you doing well. Of course, everybody knows about all of the difficulties that have been had by so many residents of the state of Florida in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. My man was one of the fortunate ones, and I am very, very much glad and grateful that you are. But for all that were not so lucky or so grateful, please, folks, continue to lend a hand wherever you can, however you can, because people down there are definitely in need. And it's always good to try to give back whenever it's a possibility. Until Sunday, folks, please continue to stay safe and stay well. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for making Locked On Patriots the daily part of your New England Patriots coverage and also your first listen every day. And now that you've made us your first listen, make your second listen our good friends over at Peacock and Williamson. Brian Peacock and Scott Williamson, check out all of the latest, Matt Williamson. He's going to get me for that, Steve. Matt is going to get me for that. Matt, I am taking 3 laps on that Gillette Stadium hill for you on that one, and he is screaming somewhere at me. And I'm leaving that in because I deserve all of the flack I'm going to get for that one. He is a former NFL scout, second to none, and he's going to give you all of the analysis that you need up and down the NFL. Check out the Peacock and Williamson show wherever you get your podcasts, and also please give them a subscription on YouTube as well. On behalf of my Patriots Paisan, Steve Balestrieri, I'm Mike Debate. Stay safe, stay well, folks. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the game on Sunday.